Hi there and welcome to this video. In this video, let's see how you can deploy a Vultr GPU server. So if you want to run AI related workloads and you need a GPU, maybe for testing for a few hours, Vultr offers GPUs. So if you're new to Vultr, you can get $300 of free credit. I'll add the link in the description. Use that to test Vultr. So let's see how to set up, how to deploy your Vultr Cloud GPU. So the most important thing is to make sure that you have the budget for a GPU, because when you create your account for the first time, Vultr usually have limitations to prevent scammers and spammers from using the platform. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to request for a limit increase in the budget depending on what you need. So to do that, you'll go to your account, then go to limits, and you can see my limit is $400 per instance. If I was to deploy anything, any item that I deploy, hourly price should not be more than 400 divided by 730 roughly, right? So it would be something like 0.50 cents per hour for anything that I deploy. If I need to request for limits to be increased, I can do so. I can request for my limits to be increased. All you have to do is click on the request limits and then enter the details for your business, the details that they need up there, and you can request either you want more instances or you need the pricing monthly to be increased, or you need both. So request for it depending on what you need. Just tell them maybe you want to run AI models and the GPU you want to use is like $10 an hour. So you need to increase your limits to match that. So the current limits is not enough for you, and request for the limits to be increased, and they will be increased. So assuming that your limits have already been increased, you can now deploy a product. So let's click there on product. If you have any products, they will be listed here. If you don't, you can always create a new product. So let's go and deploy the cloud server. So up there's also deploy. You can deploy a new server, or you can click there on deploy server. Whichever deploy button you see, just click on it to deploy a new server. So in this case, we are interested in cloud GPUs. So I'm going to click on cloud GPU. And here as well, there are multiple locations with cloud GPUs, and there are also multiple products for cloud GPUs. So which cloud GPUs are there on Vultr? All of them are listed here. So let's say you just want a small GPU, maybe for running an Ubuntu XRDP server, an RDP server. You can use the small GPU like A16. These are the most affordable you'll find here. They're also older GPUs. So just come here and see if any of this is something that you want to use. And every GPU is apportioned depending on the plan. So in this case, you can see you have an eighth of this GPU with 2 GB of virtual RAM. Here as well, you can see you have 16 NVIDIA A16 GPUs with a total of 256 GB of RAM. You can look at any of these others that you want to use. Some are more powerful than others. If you want to run AI workloads, of course, make sure you do your research and see which is the best GPU for this out of that. If you're going to run AI training, AI inference, then the minimum you should start with, the bare minimum you can use for that makes sense, is something like A100. So let's say that's the one you want to deploy, A100, NVIDIA A100. You can also rank them based on price and see which one you can afford and which one you want to go with. So this is hourly pricing for the GPU. And something else that I want to highlight before I deploy the GPU is that in these GPUs, you'll see some of them are VCG, that is for Vultr Cloud GPU. And then there's also, I think I saw one here, VBM. So VBM is for Vultr bare metal. So this is a complete dedicated server. So if you see VBM, you're getting a bare metal server. So if you want to get a dedicated server with GPUs, just look for cloud GPU and you can select the VBM for Vultr bare metal. And this one will come with 4 NVIDIA A100 with a total of that GB of memory. You can also get them here under bare metal. If you come to bare metal and you scroll down, you're going to see for NVIDIA GPUs, and also for AMD GPUs, and also for NVIDIA GPUs. There are multiple options that you can get here. If it were me and I needed a server, I'd probably go with the dedicated servers because you're getting more for less. So let's go back to Cloud GPU and let's deploy at least A100. So as I've said, if you want AI training, AI inference, LLM training, make sure you start with A100s. That's what makes sense based on their performance and what they were built for. If you want to set up a virtual server, a virtual desktop, so an online desktop, then A40 and the A16s are okay. All the others, you can definitely use this to train your models and also do other things that require GPUs. Depending on my budget, let me rank it from lowest price to highest. So for this, I can see I can get a 20th of the A100 and I'll get one virtual CPU of the CPU. Let me see up to where I can go. So let's say I can go up to there. This is the maximum I can get here based on my current billing limitations. So I can't buy anything that's over $400 per month. So in that case, the highest I can get for now is that. So I'll get that. That will be that per hour. Also note that some of these are not available in every location. So if you click on something and you find that it's not available, just change the location and see if it's available in that different data center. So in that case, I'm going to select that, and that is a 7th of A100. It will come with 2 virtual CPUs of the CPU, and I will get 15 GB of memory, 170 GB NVMe storage, and that will be my hourly price. So let's continue. That's my hourly price, but you can see my price has increased. We're going to see why in a moment. So I'm going to configure. Let's say I want to use Ubuntu. So I can go with Ubuntu 24.04. So as for the login preference, you can select if you want to log in with an SSH key, which is what I recommend. But for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to use an SSH key, even though I already have multiple SSH keys that have been set up on Vultr already. And I do have a video for how to do that and deploy your server and log in. I will add that link in the description below. If you have a startup script, maybe there are things you want to install as the server installs, you can select your script. You can add your script under your account and then select your script from there. You can also enable a firewall group. You can see I have a bunch of firewalls that I've already set up and I can use them if I want to allow similar ports for this server. So the server name, I'm just going to call this GPU test. If you want a public IPv4, definitely select that. This is going to give you a public IP that you can use. And for this one as well, you can select IPv6 if you need to. If you need an IPv4 and an IPv6. So if you only need the IPv4, then you can get the IPv4 only. In this case, the IPv6 is free, so why not? If you want a private instance, you don't want it with a public IP, you can just click there and you can use it as a private instance, preferably with a VPC network. If you have multiple servers that you want to talk to each other privately, definitely put them in the same VPC network. Naturally, I need the public IPv4 and I will also enable IPv6. All these other things, automatic backups, that's what's adding the pricing, the hourly pricing. If this is a server you're going to use, then make sure you enable automatic backups because anything can happen and it's important for you to be able to go back to a certain point, and that's why backups are important. This is the most important security thing you can do for any live server. DDoS protection, if you need that, $10 a month. Limited user, I'm just going to use the root user for this, it doesn't matter. And then if you have cloud init, you want to set up things, maybe you have a cloud init that automatically installs various things for you, then you can add that here. Just click and add your user data right there. And that's pretty much it for the settings. So you can confirm everything is as it should be, and then you can deploy. So if your budget is below, you'll see the error here. If you try to create a server that is above your budget, then you'll see that error, and you can contact support. I've shown you where you can contact them and request for a limit increase. So let's wait for it to deploy, and then we're going to log into our server. All right, so it seems the server is already deployed. So I can click on it. You can log in with IPv4. Your IPv6 is also there. Your username is root and your password is there. SSH root. So if you want to follow along on Windows, make sure you install Git and then open Git bash and follow along with that. I prefer that as compared to using the Windows terminal. So I'll copy the password, Ctrl+Shift+V, enter. Ctrl+Shift+V, enter. If you're on Git bash, you can do Shift+Insert to paste. First thing, when you get a new server, always just update the server. Sudo apt update. So this will check if there are any updates, and if there are any, we're going to apply the updates. All right, so 45 packages can be upgraded. So let's upgrade the packages. Upgrade -y. Whenever you see this asking you to overwrite anything that already exists, just keep the local version. Tab. Okay. Okay, there you go. The updates are complete. All right, so let's see NVIDIA SMI. Is it available? Okay, good. So NVIDIA graphics are already installed. So NVIDIA-Q, we just want to see the specs for our NVIDIA GPU. So the driver version, it has just been updated. CUDA version is that. Product name A100. So everything you want to see for your GPU, you can find it here. So memory, there you go, 10 GB. You can also look at your CPU details, ls CPU, Control L, ls CPU, x86, genuine Intel, threads per socket 2. Based on the number of cores that you have 2 CPUs in total. You can see it is KVM virtualization, QEMU. All right, so you've done enough investigation for what you've gotten for the server. So you can do whatever you want with it. Okay, HTOP is already there. Let's see what's running here. Okay, so this is because we need to restart the server. All the yellows and the reds, these have been updated. We just need to restart the server. So you can see it seems like Docker was pre-installed because I've seen containerd. Docker is already pre-installed. So if you don't need anything, you can just uninstall it. Now you can reboot the server. So you can reboot with reboot. Enter the password. That is how to set up your Vultr GPU Cloud. So whatever you want to run here, you can start running it depending on how you need to install it. So that's it. You can get $300, test the platform with free credit, and make sure you first of all go to your billing account and then request for limits to be increased. Okay, that's it. Until next time, if you have any questions, you can always reach the Vultr support for items related to the Vultr servers. if you have related setup requests, you can go to bizenosa.com. That's it. Until next time.